Really don't like those kinds of uncomfortable situations. And when I'm writing stories, it really takes a lot of drafts for me to be able to push the characters to those points where these little blow ups or an awkward conversation or whatever actually takes place. I'll write a lot of versions where I'm like, and then nah, nothing happened. It was fine.
Yeah.
You know, we're all good.
You're like,
That's not a very
"No."
compelling story. Yeah. So I
I
really,
could see that because yeah, I'm, like, thinking well, some writers, like, yeah, maybe they're not, like, confrontational, but maybe they, like, live vicariously through their characters, like, where they can imagine what if they could, like, say what they wanna say or do this naughty thing and things like that, but you're on your hand, you're like, "Oh, I don't it took a lot for me to get there."
I'm definitely fine with saying the naughty thing. Like that happens all the time. But then it's these conflict situations where there's actual active argument or just confronting something that's been simmering between people. There's another story called Flown in which these two old friends meet up after a very long time and there's a lot of water under the bridge. And so there's a scene in that story where they first encounter each other after
Yeah.
a lot of years. And that one was really difficult for me to write, just to figure out like, oh, that situation would be so awkward. Like
Yeah.
what feels
Because as the reader, I remember that I'm thinking like, "Okay, that was just an example," but that where it was that moment when you're leading us in and you're telling the story where the readers we finally get to the point, find out what that fallout was about, like, what happened, and then it's just like, didn't really have to end up so awkward where there was no coming back from that, but that happens all the time.
oh
Like,
yeah.
once you cross that threshold, once you cross that line, it's really hard to like, nothing's the same again, and it's a shame that it was just nope, that's where it ends. That's where that friendship, that relationship ends, and then it's yeah, it's, like, awkward because your lives you're not done with each other yet. Like
That's right. That's right. And there's also, I think it's so hard to figure out how to like let a friendship subside with any kind of gracefulness. I think
Yeah,
what most often happens is there's some sort of rift, or sometimes it's an argument, but sometimes it's something more subtle. And then I think what happens is people just tend to ghost and
yeah,
or you just stop seeing that person. And so you never really have it out exactly.
yeah,
And then when you run
and then
into
by the time
years,
it's, like, too late, it's, like, awkward to try to have it out. It's awkward
yeah.
to try to revisit that or, like, the moment's passed. No, there's no point to talking about it right now.
And you've become a different, and if it's years
Yeah,
later, you basically become a different person. So it's, you can't recreate it. But I think for me, when those things have happened in my life, they always carry a grief with them. And that I, part of it is a grief for my own behavior, maybe, or where did I fail, or what could I have done to make that situation better. But it's also just, it's just a grief for when we lose a friendship.
yeah.
It's a
Ex
loss, you
Yes,
know?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, the loss part of it, and it's I think that's what we have to, like, remember as readers or as people. It's loss isn't death, and loss can be, like, what once was, or
Right.
relationships, or it's not always, like, you're missing the person because they're no longer there, like, physically. It's like that tie is severed, and
Yeah.
it's so difficult to, like there's no coming back from that, and it's sad, it could be
It
really
is sad.
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
you
and
both
it's
moved to different places in your life and you just can't quite like mesh up anymore.
yeah, exactly.